Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Carolyn Holmes. I am the Information Officer with the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center for the Municipality of Jasper. I will be moderating this information session tonight. Oh, sorry. The format for tonight, we will have short presentations from some of our topics, and then from there we will go into breakout rooms where you will be able to ask your questions and move yourself freely, and I'll explain how you do that later on. So I'd like to start off with a land acknowledgement. The Municipality of Jasper respectfully acknowledges that the municipality is on Treaty 6 and 8 territories, as well as the Jasper House Métis District. This land is the traditional territory, meeting ground, gathering place, traveling route, and home for the Denizah, the Assiniboine Winawak, the Assiniboine Nayaw, Nahiawak, Anishinaabe, Secwepemc, Stoney Nakoda, Mountain Métis, and Métis. Unified command between Parks Canada and the Municipality of Jasper transitioned to a Jasper Recovery Coordination Center on August 22nd, 2024, to guide the recovery effort with involvement from all levels of government. This JRCC is committed to building open, transparent, and to supporting residents and providing updated information that supports recovery. We're also hosting an in-person drop-in session on Saturday in Jasper at the Activity Center. We want to make sure that you know about the range of supports that are available to you, and a list is available on the Municipality of Jasper Wildfire Recovery Information website under Community Supports, and another one is under the Recovery Mental Health Supports. Tonight, as I said, after short opening presentations, we will go into breakout rooms where you can ask your questions that are organized by topic. Again, I'll outline how to get into those rooms a little bit later. And I ask that you hold off on asking questions in the chat section until we're in those breakout rooms, because the chat from this main room does not carry over to the breakout rooms. I'll now invite Amy and Mike, the directors with the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center, to speak.
Thank you, Carolyn. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center's second virtual open house. My name is Michael Fark, and I am co-director of the JRCC, which is a joint coordination center between Parks Canada and the Municipality of Jasper. And we are committed, obviously, to working together to support the recovery needs for both the Municipality of Jasper and the broader national park. Obviously, there are always going to be some challenges when it comes to dealing with recovery, and our situation is no exception to that. But as the JRCC, we are dedicated to overcoming those challenges and providing every possible support. We know interim housing is the greatest concern for Jasper at this point in recovery. We are ready for next steps, and we will provide more details on that in the overview in a few moments. The Municipality of Jasper and Parks Canada are committed to Jasper's recovery, and we will continue to work together to make that happen. I hand it over now to Amy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Cairns. I'm Parks Canada's co-director of the JRCC. For those that don't know me, I'm a Jasperite and part of Parks Canada's local management team. We're part of this community and have all been deeply impacted by this event. At the same time, we're deeply committed to collaborative approaches to recovery. Parks Canada team members are dedicated to the JRCC, to reopening and getting ready for the 2025 camping season, to rebuilding and making processes easier. This includes expanded local teams as well as support from Parks Canada staff from across the country. We're committed to listening, learning, and adjusting our approach to ensure that support remains timely, relevant, and effective at every stage of the recovery process. Thank you for joining us this evening. These open houses and online information sessions are valuable opportunities for us to hear from residents and businesses to make sure that our work supports your needs. I'll pass it back to Mike to talk about interim housing.
Thanks, Amy. So, where are we at with interim housing? As many of you who have been following the media in the recent week will have known that there's been quite some discussion between the province of Alberta, the Municipality of Jasper, and Parks Canada. So while the government of Alberta's offer to provide housing for individually titled lots is appreciated, there are unfortunately challenges with that approach. Within the existing town boundary, Parks Canada has been able to provide approximately 4.25 hectares of land suitable for housing. Any remaining parcels of land in town are either privately held, which require significant time and cost to acquire, or are not suitable for housing. Utilizing all 4.25 hectares of serviceable land at the density proposed by the Government of Alberta will yield only about 60 single detached units, far below the 250 units they initially announced as support to Jasper's recovery, and not nearly enough to meet the urgent housing needs of Jasper. Moreover, allocating land for permanent low-density housing would critically limit the town's ability to meet future housing needs. As such, we are prioritizing housing at the density required to meet the urgent needs while the town rebuilds. The question has been asked a number of times, why do we not simply expand the town boundary to increase the availability of land? Unfortunately, most of the land surrounding the town site boundary are rocky, steep terrain, or are constrained by the utility corridor, railway, highway, and river. Also, some of the land surrounding Jasper is unsuitable for housing due to contamination from old dump sites and diesel-contaminated soil. Provincial regulations require specific setback distances from contaminated sites, which further limits viable land options. Jasper's municipal boundary is also set by federal legislation, and expanding it would require, by legislation, extensive First Nations and public consultation, environmental review, and an act of Parliament. If boundary expansion were approved, servicing the only potential viable parcels of land adjacent to the community would take an additional at least 2 years and cost an additional $20 million. Land outside of the existing town boundary is therefore not viable as a solution for the urgent housing needs in Jasper. This stresses the importance of maximizing the use of available land in town through scalable, higher density interim housing solutions. The lands provided by Parks Canada for interim housing are zoned primarily for high density, multifamily developments under the 2010 Jasper Community Sustainability Plan and applicable Treasury Board policies, and will be needed to meet Jasper's future housing needs. High density housing aligns with Jasper land use policies and long-term sustainability goals. Single detached units on individually titled lots require significantly more land per unit due to fire code, lot size, parking, and access requirements. In addition to the interim housing, we are also working on a number of initiatives as the municipality of Jasper. In collaboration with Parks Canada, we are working to advance the delivery of additional long-term housing as quickly as possible through a number of initiatives. The Jasper Municipal Housing Corporation continues to work towards the construction of a new 40-unit apartment building. This building was planned pre-fire and is set to break ground in the spring. We are exploring opportunities for new partnerships with other organizations like the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation to finance the construction of additional housing projects. And finally, the municipality is also working to launch programs supporting accessory dwelling units to further address housing gaps. For everyone who has applied for interim housing, we will be reaching out to you directly soon. Parks Canada is also procuring interim housing units, and we will pass it back to Amy to share more details on that work. Amy?
Thanks, Mike. Parks Canada shares the primary goal with all levels of government of getting interim housing in place for the community of Jasper as quickly as possible. The JRCC has made significant progress on this front, and this includes procurement of work camp style accommodation, so 120 single units to be placed at Marmot Meadows, adjacent to Whistler's campground. This replaces the Parks Canada seasonal work camp that was lost in the fire, but will be double the size and suitable for year-round occupancy. In addition, we're finalizing the procurement of duplex housing units. We're on track to secure up to 100 duplex trailers for a total of up to 200 interim housing units, with delivery anticipated within the February timeframe. The majority of these units will be placed in town. Parks Canada has purchased a handful of pre-built housing units that will be ready for delivery to Jasper in February as well. For campground use, we're making land at Wabasso Campground available for contractor-style camps to support recovery workforce housing. And we are repurposing Parks Canada staff accommodation units that were slated for decommissioning. In addition, Parks Canada will be allocating campsites for displaced residents during the summer months. The timeline for all of this depends on factors such as unit availability, transportation logistics, and site preparations. Please join Mike and I at the interim housing breakout room if you have any questions, in addition to the information we've provided here. And we'll also be joined by Jasper National Park Superintendent Alan Fair, who will be listening to your concerns and available to answer questions as well. Alan, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm the superintendent for Jasper National Park. As you've just heard from Mike and Amy, there are a lot of things going on. Parks Canada, along with our municipality partners and others, are deeply committed to the recovery of the town and the park side of things. Certainly, the interim housing, as you just heard, a number of new pieces of information about the debris removal, development guidelines and process are all key pieces to the recovery and are a focus for not just Parks Canada, but our partners as well. With respect to park operations, we're currently working through the winter operational period, and at the same time as we're preparing for the summer season. So we've got a lot of work going on with respect to the preparations for the summer season. And I just want to remind people that the park is open. The vast, well over 95% of the park is open, and will be throughout the the coming summer and years to come. And I just want to remind people that we're all looking forward to the return of summer, the return of visitors, businesses. The recovery of the community is really highly dependent on getting some visitation restored, and we're committed to achieving that goal. I don't have anything further to say at this time. I just look forward to being able to participate in some of the working groups to hear what people have to say, and I'll also be at the afternoon session on Saturday. So thank you. I think I'll turn it back to Mike now.
Great. Thanks, Alan, and thank you for joining us this evening. We're actually finished now with interim housing, so we will move over to Logan Ireland, who will be walking us through debris management. Logan.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight's town hall. My name is Logan Ireland, and I have the honor of serving our community as Recovery Project Manager at the JRCC. I'd like to start the debris management working group introductions by introducing the key members of the group who, along with their organizations, have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to coordinate and guide a safe, cost-effective, and efficient debris removal, getting us ready for rebuild in spring 2025. So joining us tonight in the debris management working group room is the co-chair of the debris management working group, Aaron Saunders, also rebuild development manager with Parks Canada and the JRCC. Also from Parks Canada and JRCC, we have Christopher Watson, manager of integrated land use policy and planning. From the Insurance Bureau of Canada, we have Rob Dupree, National Director, Consumer and Industry Relations. And also joining us today is Dallas Lindskog, Construction Manager for Ellis Dawn. Together, we look forward to answering any and all questions you have related to debris removal. Progress so far, we are happy to report, is on track to prepare the town to be rebuild ready by spring 2025. As of today, we have 325 of the 358 primary structures lost with demolition permits issued. That represents 571 of the 615 primary dwellings that were lost, which is about 92.8% complete. So that means 92 to 93% of the properties that were lost have demolition permits issued and are well on their way towards a successful rebuild. As many of you will know, we are getting into the stage where lots of debris is being removed and hauled out of town, and we're getting into the post debris removal sampling and confirmatory stage. So if you have questions about any of the stages of debris removal, what's being done to prepare the town to be rebuild ready, and anything else that we can do to help you navigate those processes, please join us in the debris management breakout room. I'll now pass it back, or I'll pass it over to Emily in the Jaspertown rebuild.
Thanks, Logan. My name's Emily Goldney, and I am the Rebuild Planning Manager for Parks Canada. I've been living here in Jasper for about 7 years now. I'm joining you tonight as part of the Joint Town Rebuild Working Group of the JRCC. And this Joint Town Rebuild Group is comprised of planners from Parks Canada and the Municipality of Jasper. Before I introduce my fellow panelists, I'd just like to take a moment to showcase some key highlights of our work to date. This fall, we updated the land use policies, setting out development requirements for the Jasper town site. The goal of these updates was to make building easier for lessees, improve community resilience to wildfire, and increase housing options for Jasperites. We've also been meeting with residents and business owners to help them work through the rebuild process. Since December, we've held 87 pre-development meetings and responded to over 800 inquiries and submissions from lessees and contractors. The volume of work before us is significant. Since August of this year, we've issued over 400 permits, and we are expecting to receive many more permit applications in the coming months. A big part of our work is actively working to improve timelines for permit review and approvals. To that end, we have added 16 new Parks Canada and Municipality of Jasper staff in planning and development. We've also reduced requirements on compliance deposits and eliminated steps in foundation permitting to make rebuilding easier. We're also working with local and regional builders to organize for an effective construction season this spring. Over the next few months, we will continue to work on reviewing permit applications, streamlining permit review and approval, and support residents, builders, and business owners to make rebuilding easier. With me tonight in the breakout room are Lucas Sherwin, Town Planner with the Municipality of Jasper, Heidi Perrin, Senior Advisor with Parks Canada, David Argument, the Resource Conservation Manager with Parks Canada, here to speak to wildfire risk reduction, Christine Nadon, representing the Jasper Fire Department, Rochelle Patterson, the Director of Climate Policy and Industry Innovation with Build Alberta, and Michelle Wozni, the Manager of the Residential Protection Program with the Government of Alberta. So please come join us in the Jaspertown Rebuild Working Group breakout room if you have questions about development review, wildfire risk reduction, Build Alberta's work, or the Residential Protection Program. With that, I'll turn it over to Doug.
Thank you, Emily, and good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Olthoff, and I'm the Housing and Social Recovery Manager with the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center. I've been working with the Municipality of Jasper in the Community Development Department since 2017, and I transitioned to this role with the JRCC in August of last year. The work of community recovery begins from the recognition that, in addition to the obvious impacts on the built and natural environment, last summer's wildfire caused significant damage to the invisible connections and support networks that sustain community life. At the individual, family, and community-wide levels, Jasperites are experiencing challenges that are wholly new to them, alongside pre-existing strains that have only become more difficult to manage in this new environment. We recognize that the fire itself represents the beginning of a journey of recovery with many complex obstacles along the way. All of this requires that we, as a community, develop a new focus on supporting one another and holding this beautiful but inherently challenging natural environment. On top of that, we have for decades benefited from incredible Made in Jasper community supports like Community Outreach Services, the Jasper Community Team Society, and the Jasper Employment and Education Center, among others. In these last 6 months, our own teams of community helpers and heroes have been joined by agencies like the Red Cross, as well as longtime supporters from Recovery Alberta, to strengthen our arsenal of community supports. Parks Canada has shown an incredible commitment to supporting recovery in all of its dimensions. Our role in the JRCC is to ensure that all of these various organizations that are supporting our community through its healing journey are working in concert, with open communication and Community Recovery Breakout Room, where we'll be joined by colleagues from Jasper's Community Development Team, the Canadian Red Cross, and Parks Canada to talk about what we're doing to support the community through the recovery process and what we could be doing to better meet your needs. So please do join us. Thank you. And with that, I'll pass it on to my colleague, Kaylee.
Thanks so much, Doug. Hello, my name is Kaylee LaBranche. I am the business liaison for the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center here. I grew up in Canmore and then worked there on the economic development team where I supported recovery efforts during COVID. So I do have a great deal of appreciation for mountain community businesses and the unique challenges they face with restarting and rebuilding. I facilitate the Economic Recovery Working Group, which is working to foster a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable economic recovery for Jasper that strengthens community capacity and champions collaborative multi-agency solutions. Fortunately, I also have a whole panel of brilliant experts here attending the breakout room with me who can answer quite a wide variety of questions related to business recovery and supports. So I'm going to start with Neil McInnes from Parks Canada. He's also the co-chair of the working group. I've also got representatives from the Employment and Social Development Canada Department, including from their Service Canada division, and they can answer questions on many things, but specifically, I know a lot of people are interested on the special work sharing measures that have been announced, as well as things like Canada's summer jobs. They also provide regular scheduled outreach in Jasper and in Hinton, so you can find out more about how to access that in our room. From that team, I have Michelle Lectar, I have Cynthia Taylor, and I have Victoria Dunbar. I also am fortunate to have the General Manager for Community Futures West Yellowhead, Nancy Robbins, and I will also have Paul Butler, the Executive Director for the Chamber of Commerce. So if you are a business owner here, even if you're mainly here to hear about some of the other big topics right now, which are interim housing and rebuild, I really do encourage you to come to our room even after your questions in other rooms have been asked, because we just have a lot of information to share, and we'd also like to hear from you and the challenges you're experiencing. So with that, thanks everyone for coming, and I'll pass it back to Carolyn.
Thank you, Kaylee. Before we open the breakout rooms, I'd like to go over a few other housekeeping items. So first of all, the breakout rooms will not be recorded.